Really nice to see so many of you joining us today for Nicola's session on voice banking and personalised voices for AAC. We're going to start in a couple of moments. So just to run you all through a few housekeeping rules. We're going to be recording today's webinar and it will be uploaded to our ATtherapy website and also our YouTube channel, just to make you aware. If you've got any comments or questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to pop them in the chat box at the bottom. This will be monitored throughout, and then we'll have time to talk through any questions you might have at the end of Nicola's presentation. So thank you, Nicola, for agreeing to present today. Nicola is an assistive technologist here at ATtherapy, and we're really excited to have her to talk to us today. So we'll give it one more minute and then we will get started. For everybody joining, if you can, just make sure to please mute yourself and keep your camera off during the main presentation. That'd be really helpful. Thank you. And we'll hand over to Nicola now to talk to us about personalised voices in AAC. Thanks, Nicola.
Thank you. So as Nikki said, so my name is Nicola Hayton. I work part-time for ATtherapy and I work the rest of the time for Sheffield Health and Social Care NHS Trust. So the information I'm going to present is a lot of my experience from working within that trust and the services that we've offered around voice banking. So today we're going to try and look at what voice banking is, go through the different systems, look at some of the research around pros and cons and what people think of the service when they've completed it and what they feel about their voices from the experience that we've had. I will say predominantly my experience is working with people with acquired neurological conditions, so people with motor neuron disease and progressive supranuclear palsy and conditions like that. But the voice banking system is appropriate for people who either are at risk of losing their speech or their voice, sorry, or who have never had a voice. So there are options for people who have never had a voice. So it is a service that could enable people to have a more personalised way of communicating. So what is voice banking? So here are some of the definitions that are used quite broadly. The MNDA have really taken on board voice banking as a process for people because one of the highest risks of having motor neuron disease is that you will lose your voice. So they've done an awful lot of work in promoting it and getting it out there. So their definition is about you record a number of phrases and you get a personalised synthetic voice. So a non-personalised synthetic voice is one of the ones that is available on the general market. There are quite a range of them, but they are limited. Working up in Yorkshire in the north of England, there's not much choice for a northern accent, and there is very little for any kind of regional variation. Like there isn't a Geordie accent, there isn't a Liverpudlian accent. There is one Black Country accent, which and there is a Scottish, or there's Scottish male and female voices, but no Irish. Oh no, there is an Irish. There's a female Irish, and no Welsh at all. So it is quite limited, but we've all heard these synthetic voices. They're part of our everyday lives now with Alexa and with sat navs and all those kind of things. And they're all made in a similar way. So they're made by somebody recording a number of phrases, as the MNDA definition says, which pulls out the speech sounds, and then they map it against a map of English and put those speech sounds on. I always think of it a bit like for some of the singers who are not Beyonce or Aretha Franklin, they would take somebody who is more like a Hilda Ogden and try and pull them into a version of a Beyonce or a Aretha Franklin. So it's about tweaking the recordings around to make it more like your voice, if that makes sense. Barnsley Assistive Technology definition is also there. So it's about you can record a voice, you can do it yourself, or you can have a proxy do it. So a proxy would be quite often it's a family member, because they would quite often have a similar accent to you, but that not everybody wants a family member's voice. Or you can employ an actor or get a volunteer to produce a voice for you. And John Costello over in America describes it as a process of creating a personalized synthetic voice that is an approximation of your natural voice. And people need to remember that it's not your voice, it's a version of your voice, an approximation of your voice. Okay, so the current systems available, there are quite a few, and so we're going to go through those just in a bit of detail, and then I'm going to play you some samples of my recording, my personalised synthetic voice using some of these systems. So Model Talker is the first one. Model Talker has been around for quite a long time. It was the first commercially available system for people to do this. It was initially free, but it's now £80 or $100. It's American, so when it first started, you were mapped against American English, not English. So over the years, they've improved that, and it is a better service now because they have more of a map of English. And they have got some regional maps, so you would log on and you would say what region you're from, and then they can map it to that region of English. Currently, you have to record up to 3,155, but you can submit it after 200, but the number of sentences you record will affect the quality of voice that you get. You can do it through a Windows computer and a Mac with a Chrome and a good headset. You need a good USB headset to get a good quality voice. And it will work really easily with a lot of the communication software, so Grid 3 or Predictable, so quite a range. It's quite a flexible system. But 3,155 is a lot of sentences. The next one is My Own Voice, which is done by Acapella, which is one of the companies that produces quite a lot of the generic voices. This one you only have to record 350 sentences, and again you can do it on a Windows or a Mac computer using the USB headset, so people can do it at their own pace, at their own time, when they are comfortable. It will work with Proloquo for text and Grid 3 and any system that an a cappella voice would work on. And it is available in 15 different languages. So I've only ever helped somebody do it in English. So I couldn't comment on the quality of the different languages, but it is available in those different languages. It's quite expensive. So it's €999, so approximately £877. Or you can do it on subscription, which is 99 or 87 per year. So the full price is to download it and use it on any system, and you can put it on multiple devices, or the subscription is they would just keep it until you needed it. Sarah Voice I've never actually used, but it does have some good qualities. It's 619 sentences, again Windows computer or Mac computer with a microphone. Works with Grid 3 and any system that uses Seroprog English, and it is available in Spanish, French, Swedish, Italian and Romanian. So it does have multiple languages. It is £499, but you do get the microphone thrown in for that. Vocal ID is the one from Tobii Dynavox, well, that's promoted by Tobii Dynavox. Again, it's an American system. You need to do between 1,000 to 2,000 sentences. Again, if you submit early, it will affect the quality of your voice produced. It can be done on a Windows computer with a headset. It will work on any Tobii Dynavox devices. It's in American English or English. Again, they've got like a subscription fee, so you can do it and you can preview it, but to get the full download is £1,096 to download the voice and then use it on a variety of systems. The Voice Keeper is slightly different to the other ones. Up to 500 can be recorded, need to be recorded. You get feedback after every portion, so they'll produce a sample of your voice after, I think it's every 50 sentences, so you can monitor how it's going throughout the process. You can do it on a Windows computer, or you can do it on an iPhone or an iPad. I actually did it on an iPad mini, which is not recommended because it doesn't have the best speaker and microphone, but the quality was fine when it came back, which you'll hear in a bit. They recommend doing it on an iPhone because obviously a microphone is better on an iPhone than an iPad, and it will work on any TTS systems, that's text to speech system. So it works on iPads and phones and a range of systems. Will work with Grid 3 and Communicator, which is Tobii Dynavox's. You can pay on a subscription and use it for $12.99, which are £10 a year, which you can use on the web version or iOS, or to download it and then have it forever and use it on a range of devices is £240. Speak Unique is another one that we're now using quite a lot, which you have to record a minimum of 150, but you can do up to 300 sentences. It's a research project based in Edinburgh, so you get, unlike most of the others, it is based in this country, so you can get quite good support in a timely manner. I should say Model Talk do offer a lot of support, but they're in America, so there's quite a time lag in how you get support. But Speak Unique, being in Edinburgh, can do it almost instantaneously. You can use it on a Speak Unique app, on Android systems, Windows devices, any device that will take SAPI. The ones that are listed there are the ones that Speak Unique have tested it out on, but they feel that there's probably more that they could use it. So Speak Unique offer 3 different services. You can do a straightforward voice record, build your own voice for £175, so that would be you recording it. Voice Repair is for people who have already got some difficulties with the speech, so if they're a bit dysarthric or they've got changes in their speech. Voice Repair, you can record and then they will work with you to change the voice to be how it used to be or increase the clarity as much as they can. Voice Design is taken from recording, so you could submit recordings of previous voices and they will redesign it from that. And there was a woman recently on Good Morning Britain who'd done that from her appearances on Tipping Point, and had got quite a good voice left. So that's their structure of their services. So they offer quite a few different services. The last one here is really new, and I will give a go at pronouncing it, which I think is Lisquare, but don't quote me on that. And it's a research project out of Bangor University, and they require 700 sentences, up to 12,000. This is trying to offer a voice banking service to people who are bilingual and Welsh speakers. So there currently is no voice available in Welsh. So you can currently you cannot use a communication aid if you are using the Welsh language, because the Welsh speech sounds do not exist in the existing voices that are available. So they're trying to address that balance, and they want people to have a go at it, do some recordings and try and use the voices, just because they're trying to address that balance and that discrepancy. And I've had a play around on it, and it does work fairly well. You can put in Welsh words and it will pronounce the Welsh speech sounds that don't exist in English. It's free at the moment, and it's free because it's a research project. So whether that goes into anything, I'm not sure, but it's quite an interesting project that they're looking at. So what I'm going to do now is try and play you, I will play you the voices that I have done. So I'm just going to swap screens. Okay, so these are the voices that I did. So obviously you know how I sound because I'm just speaking to you now. So I'll start with Model Talk because that was the first one we did. So Model Talker is the one that is 3,155 sentences to record and is £80. The Model Talker actually came out of a research project which was looking at providing children particularly who had cerebral palsy, a voice that was personal rather than using the standard voices, and then has just developed from there. So this is my Model Talker voice.
This is my Model Talker voice. What do you think? I think it is quite like me, and I'm using it with grid 3. People who know me think that it sounds like me.
I don't really have a lot of imagination when it comes to recording things. I should apologise for that. So that was my Model Talker voice. This, I should say as well, this is what I spent the first lockdown doing, was sitting in front of the computer recording on all these different systems. This is my colleague Sally on her with her Model Talker voice, just to give you an idea.
I am sat here writing this blog to allow you to compare the personalised voices that can be created by 2 web-based programs, Model Talker and my own voice.
So it just gives you an idea of what Model Talker sounds like. The next one would be my own voice, which is the a cappella one.
This is my a cappella voice made through my own voice. What do you think? Does it sound like me?
And here's Sally's version.
I am sat here writing this blog to allow you to compare the personalised voices that can be created by 2 web-based programs, Model Talker and my own voice.
So I've got to say that I was not as impressed with that one when I did it. It didn't come. I think the other versions were better, but that is just my experience and how it's come out for me. The Voice Keeper is the one that I recorded through an iPad mini, so that's not what they recommend, but I still think it came out fairly well.
This is my voice from the Voice Keeper app. It is pretty good. It has got my accent and reflects my voice well. Other people who know me agree.
So yeah, that's my Voice Keeper one, which was pretty good. I think the advantage for that, if you were using a proxy to record, is that they can do it just on a phone, which is really easy for somebody just to have an iPhone around, and you can just log onto the site and just record it. It's quite an easy. Well, you do it through their app with Voice Keeper. Speak Unique.
Speak to people using an app. People who know me feel that it sounds like me.
I will play that one again. There we go. Let's play it again.
This is my voice recorded through Speak Unique. What do you think? I think it is quite like me. I can use it to speak to people using an app. People who know me feel that it sounds like me.
So yeah, that one, I do like that one, and bearing in mind that was only 500 sentences, I think, was the that I recorded for that one. It's a pretty easy, it's a pretty good version of me. Oh no, 300 sentences, sorry, 300 sentences for Speak Unique, and I think it came out pretty well. I can also show you, I will stop sharing that and go to the big screen. Let's just stop sharing for now. And I will show you the Speak Unique app. So this is the Speak Unique app that you can just use your Speak Unique voice through.
Afternoon, everyone.
Oops.
Afternoon, everyone. This is my voice on Speak Unique.
And it gives you a really good way of testing it out on a system before you even get to use it on any other form of system. Right, let's go back to that one. There we are. Right. So I hope that's given you a good idea of what voice banking is and what it can be used for. So there has recently been some research published by Cave and Block. So that's Richard Cave and Stephen Block, which was in the International Journal of Communication Disorders. It's a very small scale study. As I say, this is still all fairly new in the world of AAC and speech and language therapy. And this was a small scale study on people who had motor neuron disease and who live predominantly in the south of England. So they would have liked to have done it a bit broader and have more people involved, but this was all they managed to complete at this time. They were looking at why people chose to have or chose to complete one of the voice banking processes. So one of the big things and big drivers and the pros for it was about identity and having something that was personal and was theirs rather than one of the generic voices. And that was a big driving factor for the majority of people who chose to go ahead and complete the voice banking process. Control was another thing. Obviously, you're looking at here with people with a degenerative condition and things are getting worse, and a lot of people feel like they're losing control. And it was something that they could take control of and have more of an effect on. And they also, a lot of people felt it was quite a positive experience. And certainly with the clients that I've worked with, they've all found it a really positive and proactive experience and quite easy and interesting to do. And some of them spoke about a legacy and about having a voice for people and family and friends to be able to keep after they had passed on. So it was about having a sort of a bit of something to keep of theirs. The cons were the amount of time it would take and whether that was worth the effort, so whether the outcome was worth what they had to put into it. Some people felt their speech was already affected, so didn't want that to be, didn't want to have a voice that was affected already. And one of the other factors that came through quite a lot was professional support. So these services, although obviously I'm saying I work for the NHS and we do it in Sheffield, it is not consistently offered on the NHS. It is not deemed to be something that the specialist hubs would do. It is deemed to be a local service or for people to do themselves. So it is very hit and miss. Charities like the MNDA will support people to complete things and will fund it as well. And some of the other charities for degenerative conditions are getting involved with that and trying to sort of build links and get the same kind of process going. But it isn't consistently offered and isn't a widely known topic, I think, for speech therapists across the country. Which is disappointing because I think it has a lot of value for people when they do it. So we have set about to look at our service in Sheffield of how we thought we were operating and what the value was for our clients that we were supporting. So what we found was that not all the people who could have benefited from voice banking were offered it or chose to do it. Some people it's not for them. They don't see the point. They don't think it's worth it. And some people like to some people who are AAC users like to keep with the voice that they've got. Excuse me. So I have a client who is from Northern Ireland And obviously, I said earlier, there isn't an Irish male voice. There's an Irish female voice, but not a male voice. He contemplated getting a proxy to do voice banking for him, but in the end chose not to, and is currently using the Scottish male voice, and now feels that's him. He's sort of taken to it. It's his voice. Similarly, Stephen Hawking chose not to change his voice from the very old Microsoft voice, because he thought that was him. It was part of his identity, which comes back to what Stephen and Richard found, in that it's a lot to do with identity and how we identify ourselves. When we do the assessment, so how our service operates, I will go out and assess people and talk the process through with them, so that our clients understand what the involvement is and the demands on it, and that their voice is not going to be an exact replica. It will be an approximation, a version of their voice. And we say that right from the beginning, so that people know where they stand. And then our fantastic speech and language therapy assistant will go and support them for up to 6 sessions if they need it. So just a bit of tech support, but on hand, or recently it's been virtual, but it's that works quite well. Even sometimes just prodding people to get through with it. And this is some of the feedback that we've had from our clients who've completed the process, which has all been fairly positive, mostly around the assistance support, which again feeds back into what Richard and Stephen found about professional support being needed. Feedback on the voices. I really like the first one, which is yeah, she had a lot of pets, and it was very important that her pets could hear her voice and know her, and her voice did come out really good. A lot of it feel that it's more for other people, how other people hear it. Obviously, when you hear your own voice on a recording, it does sound different to what it sounds like in your head. So even if you're using your banked voice, it does sound different to you, but it might sound more like you to other people. So the impact on families was quite important. Some people had issues with the pronunciations, which anyone who works in AAC, pronunciations are always problematic, but there are ways around it. So that was just with the tester one, that it didn't have good pronunciations. And it isn't exactly perfect, but it does sound like them. So a bit of preparation that it's not going to be an exact replica. Yeah, so that was and the family thinking that it's a reasonable representation, and that's what we're sort of looking for. So that's me done. I think these are our references. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or anything. Oh, there we are. Nikki's popped up. Oh, we disappeared again.
I'm here. I'm back. Yeah, I think we've got a question over here from Hayley.
Yeah, we were looking at the vocal ID for our son, and obviously there's a big cost to it. Now he's currently 13, and one of the questions we thought about was, obviously at some point naturally his voice would be breaking, so then we'd be looking, do we then get a different voice, and how does that work with the costings? Because listening to your presentation, I'm thinking, would it be better for someone like us to go down the subscription route, and then we've got the option in a year or two to change that voice, or if you buy the full package downloadable one, do you then have to pay the full cost again to then change that voice, or would you just change the pitch of it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So most of the services will work with you to adjust things. So a lot. So for example, I'm not 100% sure on Vocal ID because we've not used it at all because of the cost, but a lot of the other services, they will work with you to adjust it. So even if you've downloaded it but you then want to change it, they will support you to help to change the timbre, the pitch, and however it's changed, because obviously with voices breaking, it's very unpredictable, isn't it, as to how deep they're going to go. So they will work with you through that. However, it's all very new, so they probably haven't had anybody who's been in that age group who's then aged into having a significant voice change. So I would talk to the companies and see what they are willing to offer. They are all quite approachable and will work with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Some great advice there, Nicola. And we've got a question from Jamie next.
Is that Jamie Priest?
Hi.
Hi, Jamie.
You enjoyed. Yeah, Jim says you really enjoyed it. Thank you. And is there going to be a recording? Because people often ask questions about this sort of thing, and it was you just covered everything. It was lovely.
Thank you. Yes, there will be recording, and it's going to be available on the AT web. No, what's it called?
Right,
YouTube channel.
The AT Therapy YouTube channel, and also the AT Therapy website as well.
Fantastic. And then we can share that with people. We were talking to some people yesterday on the cerebral palsy Zoom group. You are thinking, and they were after some information about this. You are thinking. Jamie's thinking of a friend. A friend has offered to voice bank for him, so it's something he's seriously considering. The guy's got cerebral palsy, but he's quite clear speaking,
Right.
and he's got a Nottingham accent, so it's not too far from Yorkshire. But
No.
Jamie, you want to ask his brother or anyone who's too close? It would be a bit weird to have.
That's quite often the dilemma people face, is obviously a sibling would be quite a good representation of your voice, but then it's your sibling and you're talking with your sister or your brother's voice. So yeah, people quite often feel that it's a bit of a dilemma. So somebody less close is pretty good. Has everyone heard of Lost Voice Guy, the comedian? He's looking into having an actor to record a voice for him, because obviously he's a Geordie and there isn't a Geordie voice available. So that's the other option, is you can employ an actor or somebody who's good with accents and voices to do a version of your voice. But even like within Yorkshire, because obviously I know you're from Rotherham, is that right, or Doncaster area? Do you know? I really should remember that. There's nuances between sort of Leeds and Sheffield and Doncaster. They've all got slightly different way of talking. It's like you couldn't say everyone in the northwest talks the same, because we are all quite different.
Yeah. Thank you. Jamie says thank you.
That's all right, Jamie. Nice to see you, or hear you at least.
I think we've also had a comment in the chat, Nicola, from Suzanne Buckley, who's just said thank you, really, and she'd like to contact you in the future about setting up a service in Barnet in London.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I should also say that if people want information, I'll just go back a page on here. The Barnsley resource is the one where you've got the recordings of me and my colleague Sally. So that's quite a useful resource. And I have found it recently really beneficial if somebody's thinking about doing it, of playing those samples to them so that they can get an idea of what the voice comes out like. And also on there's a sheet that is freely available and you can print it off. I nearly said print offable. That it covers all the services that are available currently, apart from the Welsh one, because obviously Barnsley just cover Yorkshire and we don't get many Welsh speakers. and we try to keep that as up to date as possible, because all of the services are developing and improving all the time. So most of them are based up on research projects. So Model Talker, Speak Unique are constantly researching, evaluating and changing their processes and improving their processes so that they can improve what they're offering. And if you want other examples, they tend to be MNDA, Motor Neuron Disease Association, or people with motor neuron disease base. But there are some videos already on the internet of people using their banked voice. And if you search for Jennifer Benson, she's put quite a few videos up of clients using it. She's based up in Hull, I think, and she's done quite a lot of work in this area. But there is, it's not a well-researched area, and it's not as used or promoted as much as it should be, in my opinion. Do we have any more questions or comments? I'll change that back to there.
We've had a couple of other thank yous as well, Nicola, just to say thank you for a really useful presentation, which is lovely.
Hayley's got a hand up still. Is that do you want to say something else, Hayley?
No, sorry, I didn't put it down.
That's all right.
The only thing I was thinking, while you was sort of talking, was the one when we looked into Vocal ID. I think it was going back maybe a year or two ago, so there wasn't as many other options. But the one thing that did I did like about it was that you could, if you could make some level of sound. So our son has got athletic cerebral palsy, and he can make some sounds and sort of, to a degree, some level of recognisable sounds, and they could kind of merge that in with the banked voice. So if you did use a sibling, it did sound different from the sibling and more unique to them. And it doesn't appear like the other ones do that, but like you said, it's a huge cost to do it, and we didn't have a great deal of joy getting feedback from the company, so it was a bit difficult. So all the others just simply voice banking, they don't merge any of your own unique sounds?
The only one I would approach maybe is Speak Unique, who do the voice builder, and they potentially could do that. The difficulty with Vocal ID is they are based in America, so there's a time delay, there's time difference, which is possibly why they're not as responsive. But the people in Edinburgh, I think the voice builder might be able to offer that as a facility, that they will build the voice around a speech sound. We've not done that. We've only done the other version, the actual voice recording one. But the service that I think, I'm just going to have to look back on. See, I can never remember prices of things. That's the service that's 300. I didn't mean voice builder. I meant voice design. Voice design will build a voice around you, so they could look at the sibling's voice, your son, how he sounds, and they could maybe try and look at tweaking that together. And they are very approachable and very responsive. When we've had issues with clients who deteriorated really rapidly, they've actually got involved and tweaked the service. So they've taken what was going to be the build a voice one and gone into voice repair, and actually just made the voice from what they've got and put more effort into get it to be what it needs to be. But the design voice might be the route to go. So I would approach them and just ask them. They can only say no, can't they?
Really good advice there, Nicola. I think we've got a question now from Alison Rimmer.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, hello there. Thanks very much. Yeah, I was just really I had an interesting experience last week. I went to visit one of our clients with MND who wanted to bank his voice, and his daughter asked me if his spanking new iPad would be used. Now I went in, and I think you said earlier that an iPad couldn't be used for Speak Unique Voice Builder. No,
the recording, for Speak Unique, you have to do it on a computer.
Yeah. Okay.
But there is there is one
I
called the Voice Keeper, which you can record on an iPad.
Well, the only thing, sorry, and I'm not trying to be provocative when I say this, was he just plugged it in and started trying. He registered, the red line came up around the screen and it was highlighting, and I'm thinking, well, this shouldn't be happening. And I got in touch with Speak Unique to say, is this really genuine? Is it working, carrying through?
Right.
And like you say, they were incredibly responsive. And she got back and she said, well, we've been trying to tweak our system to make it more effective, but we didn't realise it had been so successful.
Ah, right.
She said, so it's just really for your information. So please don't think I'm trying to correct it, because we had no idea. She was interested to hear what the microphone was and headset, and it was a Jabbler one, which is actually our trust mic for using Teams, and I just took it along with me, you know. So it's nothing sort of extraordinary, but I just thought you might like an update, that she was as surprised as any to hear that now an iPad can be used if it's a brand new one, but she didn't realise at the time.
No, that's fantastic. Like I say, keeping up to date with all these different systems is a bit like trying to paint the Forth Bridge. So you we just because obviously I feed into the Barnsley information sheet, and we had just launched it, and then I get an email from the Voice Keeper saying, oh, we've changed the numbers and we've changed our pricing structure, and you're like, okay, I'll go back in and change it on. So they're all constantly changing and developing, which is why, as I said at the beginning, this is how it is last we heard. So obviously they're working on that. That is not, it's not broadcast. They've not broadcast that.
No,
they've not.
well, she didn't even realise it had happened. So I hope you don't mind me mentioning it.
No, that's really useful.
It's a huge relief to this guy who bought it, knowing that he could play it back on it, but he didn't realise he couldn't record on it, whereas in fact he could. Yeah,
and that's really good to know. I knew they were working on it. I just but it's also interesting to know it's got to be a really, really new iPad. And like the Voice Keeper, I recorded on an iPad, but they said it would have been better if I'd recorded on an iPhone, but we didn't have one available. But the voice came out fine, and that was just using it's oldish iPad mini microphone. So I think sometimes they are perfectionists at the companies, which is fine because they want the best voice for the person. But I think they possibly maybe put too many demands, because I've recorded using our Trust's headsets, which are probably similar to yours, which are not great. But the Steinhauser headset did produce a better quality voice, but the other one was fine. Yeah, so
well, thank you. That's been a great session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we've got a comment in the chat here, Nicola, from Rebecca, which says, I recorded my voice using a new iPad on Speak Unique and it was fine.
All right, so that's what Alison was saying. So but they're not broadcasting that yet, so I'm sure that probably will be on the next time I have to update the system. The information sheets.
And you've got lots of other lovely comments as well, saying thank you for the useful comparisons, Nicola. Lots of voices to choose from and systems to choose from, which is great. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay. Well, what we'll do now, we'll just have a quick talk about some of our upcoming training events, if that's okay, Nicola. Thank you. So we have lots of other training videos that are available on our AT Therapy YouTube channel. So feel free to log on and have a look on there. Some of our therapists also have very active social media accounts. So we have lots of AT Therapy Instagrams with freebies and updates on what we're getting up to as a company. So have a look on some of our therapists on here. And also have a look on our AT Therapy Facebook account, which also has all of our up-to-date information about what's going on. In terms of training opportunities that we've got coming up shortly, sorry, Nicola, thank you. We've got our literacy webinar series, which will be continuing on the 11th of May. This will be our second session, which will be delivered by Fran Sefton, who's one of our highly specialist therapists here at AT Therapy, and Tina Voisey. And this session will focus on assessment. So feel free to have a look on our Eventbrite page to book onto this session. And we've also got some play included training coming up in autumn 2021, which is the rebranding of our Bricks for Autism training courses. So keep checking on our social media accounts and we will have more information on these dates to follow shortly. In terms of our webinar series, our next webinar will be coming up in May. If you could change the slide, please, Nicola. Thank you. And our next lunchtime webinar will be delivered by the My Ability team on developing self-worth and identity in young people. So it'll be delivered by Emma Bowers, who's one of our highly specialist speech therapists, myself, and Dr. Andrea Pickering from Ricolo, who is a clinical psychologist. And we'll be talking about the My Ability resources that we've created as a team, along with Fran Sefton, who's led the project, who's another one of our highly specialist speech therapists. And we'll be talking a lot about the resources that have been created, a feasibility study that's taken place, and what the results and findings are indicating so far. So feel free to join us then. It's the 20th of May from 12 till 1 again. We will be sending an invite out by email, but feel free to have a look on our Eventbrite page, which will be launching shortly, and book on for next time. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been lovely to see so many of you on the call. If anybody does have any further questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or to raise your hand and let us know. We'll be hanging around for a little bit longer just to answer anything else that you may want to ask. But thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you in May at the next webinar.